Come on, everybody, it's time to listen in to an actor and a teacher who love their wrestling. No more division, forget those prejudice. The Wrestling Connection is here with Glenn and Chris.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode. It's episode 44 of the Wrestling Connection podcast. 44 zip, zip, 44 zip. And we are here for another episode. My name is Chris, and this is Glenn, and I hope Glenn is doing very well because I have just had a coffee. Glenn is currently drinking a coffee, so this could be maybe the fastest episode of TWC, but hopefully, even if it's fast, and if it's fast-paced, that's fine. Let's hope that it is one of your favourite episodes in the history of this beautiful, beautiful podcast. Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Make yourself comfy wherever you are listening, whether you're walking the dog or talking you to sleep with our dulcet tones. We hope you have a beautiful sleep, and we hope you dream about everything you want to happen in real life. Wakey, wakey. It's time for the morning. Right, how you doing?
I feel like that has changed me, that opening gambit. There was a lot going on there. I mean,
Yep.
There was the 44 zippity doodah, which I've never heard of before. There was the pressure that this might be one of the best episodes we've done, when I actually think episode 43 was one of our best episodes ever.
Agreed, you should have gone listen.
Go and listen to it, folks. Chris was in the Thunderdome, and he provides a really good in-depth account of what it's like. And if you've never done it, or if you're thinking about doing the Thunderdome, listen to this episode of the podcast. And 43 is good. In fact, do you know what? Just stop listening to this one and just go back and listen to 43. This one's going to be a dud. I'm telling you. I'm joking. This one will be absolutely splendid. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely spectacular.
Speaking of the Thunderdome, what do you reckon WrestleMania is going to look like? Because obviously they're doing it out in like Raymond James Stadium, the home of Super Bowl 55, and that's an out-of-date reference already. Anyway, and so obviously that's the thing in Florida is if they're outdoors, they can have some fans socially distant.
Yeah.
Right,
and we clustered bubble thingies like they do at Daly's Place, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was going to be fine. There will be real people. It'll be very nice. And I bet for the wrestlers, it will sound like 50,000 people, but it will probably only be about 5,000, you know? But just because of the actual loud feedback, it will feel amazing. That's what they all said in AEW the first time they had fans back. And Cody Rhodes started greeting. He was like, "There's nothing is like it," and performing in front of live crowd and stuff. So it's going to be great. However, it's a big stadium, you know, and there's a pirate ship and stuff. However many people, whether it's 5,000 or 10,000 people that are going to be there, they're all going to be spaced out. Do you think they'll have some Thunderdome screens, or are they just going to have it like blank, you know?
I think they will have. I think there'll be a hybrid.
Yeah, I think so
and I've read that speculation as well. I think it just makes sense, like, because there is not going to feel like a normal WrestleMania still, because it's not going to be a sold out or near sold out stadium, which is the norm. So I don't know what the kind of physical mapping of that is. I don't know if they just kind of stick the current Thunderdome in a truck and shift it over to Raymond James and put that at the front and have the audience around the side. But then you think if there's actual fans there, you want the emphasis to be on them. Do they build an even like a big bastard Thunderdome? That's fine. You don't need to bleep that because that's not a swear. Do you have that kind of deal or that kind of deal? Because I'm Jim Ross, and that's why another reason why you should go back and listen to episode 43, because I spoke about what it's like to meet Jim Ross and the Podfather himself, Conrad. Again, stop listening to this one. Go and listen to 43. It's so much better.
It's so much better. You can have such a much better time than you are listening to this one. Oh, God. Well, it's going to be interesting. And, WWE, obviously, WWE are playing with our emotions right now about what Edge's decision will be. Maybe by the time you're hearing this episode, we know what Edge's decision is going to be. The rumour was it's going to be Roman Reigns, but then he appears on all the shows. I said in our Royal Rumble 2021 pay-per-view predictions video, which you can see on our YouTube channel, which is just Wrestle Connection, I said, I gave my theory of what I would do if I had the book. I would do Drew versus Edge for the title, for the WWE title, right? And then have Roman Reigns versus Big E, winner take all. Universal title versus Intercontinental title. It'll make the Intercontinental title mean a lot. Big E is the person everybody wants to get that big push. You know, he's on a hot streak right now. It's a different matchup we've never really had before. I just think that'd be a brilliant couple of main events, and have Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, do Charlotte versus Asuka. Massive matches for WrestleMania. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I like in the build up to WrestleMania. You know, it's a good year where there's different combinations you can think of in your head, and they haven't done this in a while. Where the Rumble winner is like teasing which show they would go towards. You
Mm.
know, you obviously well, that's a barefaced lie. They did it with Charlotte last year, didn't they? Like
Right, I guess,
before.
yeah.
But like the way what Edge is doing reminds me of the Undertaker in '07.
Undertaker,
Facing
absolutely.
Lashley, Batista, and Cena, all three young, really jacked men against this kind of grizzled veteran.
Yeah. I
There was
remember
no
that
better.
segment like it was
Yeah,
like yesterday. Like I remember watching that segment because Undertaker was my favourite, and I really wanted them to wrestle Cena because I also loved Cena.
yeah,
And they kind of teased it with all three. I didn't think he'd go with Lashley for ECW, but I was still happy about Batista. But I remember wanting it to be Cena.
yeah. I no, I mean, I was on side of Taker and Batista. I think because I think no matter which one he would have gone for, it would have been a great
Of
match. But
course.
Batista and Taker was the kind of first of that great run of matches that he
Yeah.
had. Really, between the Batista match at 23 all the way up to the Punk match, there isn't a dud at all. Really.
No.
And then it becomes less consistent. I like the Shane Hell in a Cell match. I obviously we love the Boneyard match here
The
in the
Cena
Wrestling
Cena
Connection
one's
podcast.
good. The Cena one's good at
Oh
34.
yeah,
Obviously, it's more of a
I forgot.
segment.
Yeah, and but for what it is in ring wise, it's fun. You
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
you kind of you empathize with the Undertaker in the last ride, saying that he wanted more time, and that match deserves more time. But if they were only going to give it 2 minutes, they were right not to confirm it as a match until the night.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget that match finally did happen at WrestleMania.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
And there's no way. What we would have wanted was that match even in 2016.
Yeah.
When Cena was injured and couldn't do WrestleMania, although he did show up. But that was the rumored match for 32. And they went into Dallas that year with Randy Orton injured, with Cena injured, and so many others injured that that's what instigated Shane McMahon coming back, and then Triple H winning the Royal Rumble and taking
Right.
the belt from Roman. So that was the break emergency glass WrestleMania, really, and not just because Steve Austin showed up and gave his first Stone Cold Stunner in a long
That
time.
was a good one. That's a great segment.
It really is. It's probably the highlight of that. Well, no, that's a barefaced lie. The highlight of that WrestleMania is Charlotte versus
Right.
Sasha versus Becky.
And
No,
the
it's
ladder
Becky.
match is great, and AJ and Jericho's great. That's a good WrestleMania. It's forgotten about because it's so long, I think.
Mm.
People don't rate it as much as the others. But that's the problem with 32 and 33 and that sort of thing, and 35. There's so much crammed in there.
You
It's a
just get
good
the
thing,
fatigue.
that they've got the two nights now.
I think so, and I know it's kind of up in the air whether or not that's going to be permanent, because I know we're doing a 2 night Mania this year again. But I'm just so for that, and I think there was a time, even going back a couple of years, I'm talking like before the Fox deal, there was a time where people said that as maybe as better for the fans as that would be to do a 2 night Mania, WWE is not going to rent out a stadium 2 nights in a row. It's just too costly. But now
Yeah.
WWE is far more lucrative than it was 2 years ago. The WWE is currently in its strongest financial position it ever has been, between the Fox deal and the Peacock deal.
Right.
It is the fact that it went through this whole crisis, ran no live events, and got so much money out their TV deals
Crazy,
and
right?
and
No
the
live
licensing.
events, no merchandise in person. Crazy.
Exactly. So they could and should invest in a 2 night WrestleMania, and just think about it. Think who could get. You can get more people who can say they've main evented WrestleMania now. You'll get more people on the card, which is a big deal, rather than cramming them all into a battle royal. Although I do enjoy the Andre Battle Royal, but you do realize. I mean, you do think that that's kind of like there just to kind of get
Yeah, absolutely.
men and
Yeah.
women on the card who aren't like otherwise going to be on it. And it also means you can showcase NXT. NXT has a TV deal now. It's there in the US on the USA Network. So I'm surprised that it was just the women's championship on the NXT show last year.
Yeah.
I know the reason that this hasn't happened is because it clashes with the tradition of the WrestleMania weekend takeover. I say still have the takeover, but have one match play out and have the heavyweight title. So have the main event of takeover at WrestleMania weekend for the men's and the women's be winner takes on the NXT champion at Mania, unless
Yeah.
the Rumble winner has challenged the NXT champion, or is the winner is added to the NXT heavyweight
Yeah,
title match.
or do like on the takeover, have a title match, right? Say it's Finn versus Pete Dunne, just an example, right? And then earlier in the show, there's like a fatal 4-way, and the winner faces the winner of the main event at WrestleMania, like something like that. Like, what a fun way! And the match, like the NXT match at WrestleMania, doesn't need to take up a lot of time. That's obviously the problem. If you're putting NXT people on, other people on Raw or SmackDown aren't getting that shot, But it doesn't need to be this big thing that's taking up loads of time. That's what takeovers for. That's why you always get half an hour matches at takeover, because it's not on a usual pay per view.
Yeah.
So.
And think how fun like going to WrestleMania will be. You still go for the like, and I dream of doing this one day. Like, it's always been my dream to have that experience of going to a city where Mania is happening, doing everything and taking my pick of what I want to go and see. But then on Saturday and Sunday, you go to WrestleMania on Saturday night, you have this great time, you get a 3 or 4 hour show, and then you're like, oh my god, I get to do this all over again tomorrow, and I didn't even get to see this match, and this match yet, because that's tomorrow night.
Right.
Like, I think on all levels it's a win-win, and as much as it will cost them more in terms of rental, like that is going to be a drop in the ocean compared to the kind of money that they're pouring in now.
Yeah, I reckon they probably get a cheaper deal too, this year especially. Yeah. I did that in 2020 with WrestleMania 36. Like, we had the first
you rented
night
out Raymond James Stadium, or...
No, just that whole I can't wait for tomorrow night. Like,
yeah,
can't wait to go to Raymond James again. No, but like, we had the Boneyard match at the main event at night 1, and I was just so buzzing about it. And then like the next day on the Sunday, like I went for my daily walk in quarantine, and I just remember thinking on the walk, like, it's WrestleMania Sunday, and we had it last night, but we're having it all over again tonight, and it's just a fun thing.
Chris. Right, here's the thing, right? WrestleMania is usually around the Easter holidays, and the first night I'll be able to watch live because it's a Saturday, and I should be able to do the second night. Who knows? We might even be able to do something together. I don't know, but that part doesn't matter. The part that does matter is we should do more podcasts over that time. We should do an interim podcast in between WrestleManias. It's going to mean that we won't sleep at all, but we should do it. Do it for the listeners, Chris. Do it, because if not, I'm going to tell them to stop listening and go back to episode 43, because that was our peak. Damn it, it's still real to me. Damn it.
I liked episode 42 because you phoned the Chippy. That's my favourite one.
I know, I heard that recently back. Can I just say, obviously, Chris was very careful with his editing on that episode.
Right.
Because, you shouldn't be putting out a recording of anyone who doesn't know they're being recorded. So you only ever heard my end of that conversation. But can I just say, I'm not going to name the Chippy, but they are a really good Chippy. And
you're too nice. You just want to take back the negativity you
put towards them. Listen, I cancelled the order with them, but Uber Eats kept saying your order's on its way, and this is 4 hours later. This is like at 10 p.m. at night, and it was like, your order's on its way, and I kept phoning them and saying Uber thinks it's coming, so I'm not getting a refund from them because it's. And after a lot of back and forth, they've had to phone Uber's like headquarters and process a refund for me, which I now have. So they have turned babyface, that Chippy, right. And I will certainly patronize them again in the future.
That's fine. That's fair. I'll if I ever come to yours for dinner, we'll go there and we'll thank them for their service. Here, have you ever heard of a band called Nightwish?
Yeah. I've seen Nightwish live. No, my good personal friend Robert.
Yeah.
I think he's seen Nightwish live. I think he's a big fan of theirs. I might be wrong though.
Well, that's interesting, sure. Right? So I'd never heard of them. Like, I think I'm quite good with movies and actors and art and life and that sort of thing, where I've just heard of a lot of stuff. I kind of have a basis of what's going on. I try to keep my finger on the pulse of a lot of things that I'm interested in, but usually I just kind of maybe heard of things. I can maybe spark up a conversation about it, but I don't really know the details unless I've really looked into it, right? So
yeah.
I do a YouTube channel, as you know, and as some of the listeners know. It's called CM42 TV, and for a long time I did wrestling videos, and then I did movie videos, and I got to the point where it got really samey, and I just wanted to change things up. So I started doing reaction videos and stuff, and they kind of helped my channel get to kind of the next level, I guess you want to say that, to the point where now like the channel is monetized and that sort of thing. Yeah. So what I sometimes do is I'll say, right, okay, if you have any recommendations, to the viewers, if you have any recommendations for stuff you want me to react to, please leave them in the comments and I'll get to them. And, every so often you'll get one that I've not heard of and I'll just go, okay, that's interesting. I'll look into that. But I always put them to the bottom of the list. I'll always do Family Guy or movie trailers or Star Wars or big things that I like, So a couple months ago, I got this recommendation, which we'll get to in a minute, off here on TWC. But I got this request to do Nightwish, and I was like, I've never even heard of them. Like, what? Who are they? Is it a band? Is it a singer? Is it I don't even know what it is. So I just replied to the person. I was like, yeah, sure. I added it to my playlist, and I put it into my playlist, and just didn't really look at it. And it sat there for a couple of months. Then I got another comment, I think from the same viewer, a couple of months later, saying, thanks for all the videos. You always do such a good job. You always entertain me. It's always really funny, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I requested Nightwish about 3 months ago and you've not done it yet. And I kind of felt bad. I was like, oh man, like this person obviously enjoys the channel and stuff. I should probably do a good service to them. I said, okay, well, thank you for the comment. Thank you for always watching. And as a reward, I'll do the Nightwish video this week. And they were buzzing, right? So
Nice.
the reason why I didn't want to do it is just because I'm really ignorant here and maybe quite arrogant as well. Because I hadn't heard of them, I just assumed other people hadn't heard of them. And I just assumed they weren't a big band. So I thought I'm going to waste time doing this video and it's going to take lots of time up on the laptop and I'm going to miss a day and no one's going to watch the video and I'll probably get a copyright strike and but I'll do it anyway. So I do this video in Nightwish and the song is called Ghost Love Score and it was live in somewhere in Europe or something a couple of years ago. And it's this epic performance and I really enjoyed it and I said, yeah, that was good. I'm glad I did that. So thank you for requesting that. Posted it, got the copyright claim, whatever. I knew that was going to happen. Just moved on. Just didn't expect anything from it. So then, like, usually what I'll do is if I post a video, I'll check the viewers later that night to see how the video's doing. And I was expecting literally less than 50 views there. On first night, less than 24 hours, it was over 1,000 views.
I've just seen it now.
And I was just like, what? Like, who? What is this? So I clicked on it now and it's been up for about a week now, a week and a half. And it's on 8.2 thousand views. I've never even heard of them.
People are going to be, and this has been a request from a subscriber quite a while ago.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to watch that probably. That's incredible. So I guess you're going to do some more Nightwish videos, Chris.
I guess so. So I obviously I didn't know what I was expecting, and I just reacted accordingly and stuff. But I got so many nice comments. Right, Nightwish fans are really nice. Sometimes I did a reaction to Pink Floyd one time, right, and the fans were just berating me. And I was like, I like the music. I'm just not going to bother doing any reactions anymore because the fans are so horrible. But the fans of Nightwish were really nice. But I got so many comments saying things like, you are ruining this because you're not using earphones and your audio is really bad and we can't hear the song and stuff like that, which you get every so often. But there was so many views and so many comments, there was loads of them. So now it's like I've learned from my mistakes. But because there was like 50-50, usually it was like a nice comment or whatever. Welcome to this journey. You're going to get blown away and all that. I might do some more.
Shit. Sorry, Chris. I've opened a can of non-alcoholic beer and it's fizzed everywhere.
Oh man,
now there's a puddle on the carpet.
You want to go clean?
No. Yeah. I'll you should leave this bit in though because I'm sure it's hilarious.
I'm not going to take it.
Hold on, I need to. It's all frothy at the top. It's a can of Brewdog Punk AF alcohol-free IPA. But I need to do this thing. Sorry.
Okay.
To get the fizzy bit off. Oh, I should have seen that coming, idiot. Hold on. Right. So, by the way, you're telling me this excellent story whilst I'm kind of trying to coordinate how to deal with this.
That's all right. But isn't that mad though? Like I hadn't even heard of that ever, and then it's got nearly 10,000 views in less than a week, or just over a week.
That is awesome. But was that your moment of the week without a jingle?
No, it wasn't. No.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's what we could potentially move on to. But that's excellent, man. I was really shocked because the funny thing about your channel is like the numbers of your videos are so variable.
Right.
Like one, you never know what's gonna shoot up. Bizarrely, the Wrestling Connection content doesn't seem to get as much as I would like. But anyway, that's fine. That's fine.
I was thinking about this actually. We're very consistent with our listens, and it's good because we get those same few people. But it's also worryingly consistent. Like we never get any more. Like you know what I mean?
What's just the best we ever did. Like that's what I want to know. What was our best week ever been?
It was early on, I think. Maybe one of the first ones. Maybe the video games one was pretty good. I can't remember off the top of my head though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get a towel, and when I come back with a towel to clean up this puddle at my feet, and if you're just tuning in, folks, I've not wet myself. It's my non-alcoholic beer has fizzed over. When I come back, you'll have a plan on how we're gonna get more listeners. All right. Okay. So no pressure. Right. See you soon.
Go. Okay. Well, Glenn's away. I guess I'll brainstorm some ideas now to get some new listeners. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is anybody listening to this episode, thank you very much. But also, please share the show if you enjoy it. If you're enjoying me talking about my surprisingly high-viewed reaction videos or Glenn spilling his non-alcoholic beer all over the carpet, if you enjoy that content, that's just the sort of stuff that you get here on TWC, like Glenn phoning the chippy or me talking about being in the Thunderdome. You can share it with some friends. We'd appreciate that. I don't know. I guess we could... I know I could do a better job of promotion. That's the thing. No, that's the thing. Like I could do a lot. I try to, tweet or something every day, but sometimes it gets repetitive and stuff. I just never know what to say, really. We could always say to family and friends to post and stuff and promote us, but I don't want to bother people. You know what I mean? I don't want to bother people. I don't want to be one of those people who's like going to keep sharing this. You always get those people that are like always tagging you and stuff. I don't like to do that. I mean, it's not that I'm against it. It's not that I hate getting tagged in things. I just don't want to be that guy that's like, please do this for me all the time.
Do
You know,
what?
it's my thing. Oh, you back?
Yep. We're back and we're dry.
Okay. Good. I'm glad.
So, what's the plan? How are we going to boost that listenership, young man?
Well, I just was saying to the listeners there, I think I could do a better job on promoting stuff. I try to post every day, but I'm trying not to annoy everybody. And you know, you get these things on Facebook and stuff where people tag you and stuff and are
Yeah.
like, please promote this for us. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to ask people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it when we did play about with paid promotion every now and then. I'd like to go back to that, but Instagram's actually made it harder to promote a post. It
Really?
was so easy when we first kicked off. It was a very versatile tool. Twitter's ridiculous. You the minimum you can spend on Twitter to promote a post is like 50 quid. You know.
What?
Yeah, so it's but I would be up for looking back into that again. But I think you need to do it from like a laptop, like a browser,
Right.
you know, a web on a computer. But we
Do
should do it.
you
'Cause I
think...
Go
Sorry,
on.
go on.
We could also cut together all the cameos
Yeah.
into one fun video and put it out there and try and promote that. You know.
Yeah. Also, it's you know, sometimes I would like put a clip on Instagram or whatever, like a 60-second snippet. That they've changed the way you can do that now too. So that's why there's not been one in the last few weeks.
Right.
I know I could still do it on Twitter, but Instagram always gets more eyes. So I'll try to do that a bit better. What if we make a Facebook page? Because then we could both share it on our personal Facebooks.
Yeah, that's fine. My personal Facebook it spends a lot of the time deactivated.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
don't
deactivated
put
right
anything
now.
on Facebook really, but I thought maybe that's an idea. I don't know.
That's a show. Yeah, we'll do it. Let's do it. Why
This
not?
just turned into a production meeting, but I'd like to hear Glenn's moment of the week if you've thought of one.
I do. I forgot actually. It's two, but I'll go through them quickly if that's
Yeah, go on
okay.
then.
If you cue the jingle, then we'll do this. Thank you for cueing the jingle.
You're welcome. We should play them live though. We should do that so we know what we're doing.
Like in the watch along ones, we had the live singing.
That's right. Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Funnily enough, the watch-alongs have done better than some other episodes.
Really?
Yeah, the Royal Rumble one did better than the past 2 weeks.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Well, here's my first moment of the week. A few of them I've done recently have been related to. Understandably, my weeks are very similar right now. It's teaching for the week and then the weekend, you know. So remote learning is still what's happening right now, and it means you get to, as a teacher, try your best to use a lot of fun digital tools to kind of aid your learning to make these live lessons a bit more engaging. And there's a website I love using, and lots of teachers love using it, called Mentimeter. And it's and you can use it in the classroom as well. I use it quite often when the kids are actually in school. It's not just a remote learning thing, really, where they get their phones out and they join. They use a code to access like a live slide, and it means that their answers are depending on the type of slide that I'm using. They can get their answers up on the screen. And you can like set things like profanity filters, and there's loads of different ways you can use it. I'm not really describing it well, but it's a good way of assessing their learning up to a certain point. It's also
Right.
a good way of just having a bit of fun as well. So I'm doing a unit right now, first years, on Scots language and literature and Scots poetry and things like that. So we were doing a live lesson about this, and just as a wee starter, that it's like a placeholder whilst they're all getting logged on. So say the lessons to start at 2:00, you're usually not getting going until about 2:10, because that's how long it takes for, you know, people with technical difficulties, or, you know, it's like real school. There's always kids who come in late, you know.
Yep.
So I had this thing up saying type in the code and then write your top 3 favorite Scots language words. And so I thought, all right, this will be good. Just did my usual when I set these slides up, you know, profanity filter all
So
languages.
see when you have profanity filter, do you need to choose the words that are filtered?
No, I mean, you can just pick the language. So it's got like the English language, and like
Right.
you can, like, I just take them all. So it's whether they're trying to swear in English, Arabic, Polish, you
Right.
name it. Like, it's not, if they type a swear word in, it just comes up as a bunch of asterisks. So, but the problem is that, as I soon found out, it doesn't cover Scots language. So, the word "jobby" got through in this live lesson, all of which like go on my YouTube channel. I record these live lessons, so on my teaching YouTube channel, there is a clip of me now going, "Who wrote jobby?" You know, but it was really quite funny. It was quite sweet. You know, I've had worse words come through on the Scots language profanity filter, and I think remote learning continues to be uh like a big part of my weekend. As much as I wish I could wave a wand and have us all be in school together, and then as much as there's so much stress and uncertainty, especially about our senior pupils and the exact nature of how they're going to get their grades this year, uh, stuff like that, you got to focus on those to kind of not get too bogged down on all the things that are missing. I'm trying to focus on the things that I'm gaining from this.
Right.
Really quickly, this past week, we realized that we were allowed to legally form a bubble with my father because he lives on his
Oh,
own.
great.
So he's been round for dinner, and we've been round to his for dinner, and he doesn't go anywhere. You know, he doesn't do
Yeah.
anything or see anyone right now.
That's my thing right now, you know? It's like if you can trust yourself and you know that you're not going anywhere and you're not seeing anybody and you know your
Mhm.
dad's not going anywhere, not seeing it, like that should be all right, you know? As long as you're just
Yeah,
not taking the piss, you know?
yeah, and this is it. And you know, we're really are quite we're sticklers for the rules, really.
Right, yeah.
And so you know, to know that we could do that legally was good and reassuring to hear. I mean, my dad is a social animal, so on normal years, you know, he would be going out and seeing everybody, but he's taken this very seriously. He's not had a particularly happy 12 months, so it meant a lot to us now that we live in the same town as him. That we could spend some time with him physically in person as opposed to over a Zoom call. We were around at his last night for dinner, and he found this old folder full of his old gig tickets from when he was at
Oh,
uni. Like,
I saw this on Twitter. It was lovely to look through.
I mean, it was amazing. Like, so, like, I'm trying to get some highlights. Like, and some of
It
them are
was the
signed.
prices that I couldn't believe.
I know. So, like, for example, he's got a Roxy Music ticket here, which he paid um £2.50 to see Roxy Music in 1979,
Is there
1979.
an AC/DC one for like
Yeah,
£3?
yeah, there is. So, the thing about the AC/DC ticket is that it's a male ticket because back
Yes.
then at Glasgow Uni, the two unions, the Queen Margaret Union and the Glasgow University Union, the GU was male only, and the QM was female only. So, if you were, and of course, this is like in the days where the mainstream would have you believe that there is only two very binary genders. So,
Yes.
like you would go there, and if you were a woman and you wanted to go to a concert at the men's union, you would buy a female ticket. And it's ridiculous. So, like, my dad went to see, like, this is like the original AC/DC with Bon Scott, like Highway to Hell, kind of
Yeah.
AC/DC, you know. And he saw them there for I've got the price here somewhere. But he's got Tina Turner here for £6, and that's one of the more expensive ones. That was in 1984. 165 for Lou Reed. The Jacksons for £5 at the Glasgow Apollo.
Crazy.
And Fleetwood Mac for, God, how much? £1.60 for Fleetwood Mac in 1977. Hogmanay, 1979, he saw Blondie at the Glasgow Apollo, which was actually filmed by the BBC and broadcast live that night on the
Well,
old grey whistle test. My dad went home that night and just after the bells. So by this point, it was 1980. And his dad, my grandfather, said, didn't think much of the drummer because he'd sat and watched it, you know, at home. So there's loads and loads of really cool ones here. Elton John for £1, the Eagles for like 250, and I could go on and on and on and
Elton
on and
John
on.
for £1, man. You know what I mean? Crazy.
I
Like,
know.
I'd be a 60 quid ticket these days.
Yeah, I know. More maybe. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, AC/DC Glasgow University Union, 19th of February, 1977. Meal ticket £1, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Crazy, man.
And that's funny because in 77, my dad would have been 19, or he would actually have been 18 at the date of this gig. So that would have been his first year of uni. But then the thing is, right, we're going through all these concert tickets, and he was giving us all these stories about these gigs and stuff. But then I'm going through them, and then there's a gig ticket to the group Doctor Hook, who he saw in 1977 at the Apollo for £3.25, so a bit more expensive. And Doctor Hook are still popular to this day. And Kate, my wife, Kate, who is a musician and a music teacher, said herself, "Oh yeah, I nearly supported them on tour." Like, what?
Oh my
Like,
God.
So she's got like Kate every now and then will come out with these things that she's never told me about, or a famous person she's met, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I was drinking champagne with Emily Sandy the night she went to #1." Like, what? Really? When? How? Where? When? Tell me more of these stories that you've neglected to tell me for however long we've been together. So that was lovely. Just I guess getting to see my dad in the flesh and
Yeah.
kind of having those memories and exploring those was really cool. That was my moment of the
That's
week.
great. I did a show in Emily Sandy's old high school 2 years ago now, and it was like in the sort of gym hall of the school, and there was like a big sort of monument on the wall, like Emily Sandy went here. It's like their claim to fame. Yeah, and Amy McDonald from Scotland, she went to my school actually. She was taught music at my school, which is fun. I don't know if anybody knows Amy McDonald, but there you go. She sings very Hogmanay. Anyway, I have a ticket folder upstairs too, containing all my concert tickets and stuff, and all my wrestling tickets and theatre tickets and that sort of thing. So I wonder, if future generations of Christopher are going to find that as interesting as you found your dad's one there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I know, man. And so, what was your moment of the week if it wasn't your 8,000 views video?
Yeah, no, no, that was a good moment. We did the good bit this week on a film called Knives Out, or last week when you listened to this, called Knives Out.
The lead guy just passed away.
By Ryan Johnson, who made Knives Out, which is all about this sort of posh family, and the kind of head of the family is cutting out everybody in his family from his will, and people are wanting to know why. And then crazily that night, the character dies, and it's all about who done it, who murdered them, because they get caught out of his will. And on the day I posted the podcast, the man who plays him, Christopher Plummer, great actor, actually died. I couldn't believe it. It was mental.
Crazy. Rest in peace, Mr. Plummer.
Rest in peace. Great actor.
Thank you.
Will be incredibly missed. My main moment of the week, though, is because it's nothing major or anything, but I did a little bit of manual labour this week. I was out working with Wise Cousin Graham. Wise Cousin Graham is a builder, and he took an independent job where he was going to renovate an outhouse in someone's garden into a kind of yoga kind of studio. And needed a hand, so he gave me a shout, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he said they'd pay me for it and stuff. And being an actor and that sort of thing in this time is so hard to find work. And of course, I also work in a university, which is surrounded by schools, and the schools aren't in school right now, so it's so hard, and I'm losing lots of work. So I was just kind of happy to take anything. I would have done it for free, of course. It's a family member needing help, but just the fact that it was like, "Oh no, we'll pay you for it." It was like an extra wee incentive and stuff. So we spent the whole day out in Cumbernauld in this lovely, big, fancy back garden of a house, renovating this outhouse and this big, nice hut in the back garden. And we were putting insulations into the walls and the ceiling. We were supposed to pull apart the roof and put a new one on, but it was raining, so we had to wait. We're going to do that on Wednesday. And yeah, it was fun. It was going out and actually doing something different. I did this for a summer a couple of years ago. I worked with them all summer, and it was like there's actually a house in Annie's Land that I helped build that people are living in, which is
Really?
quite funny. Yeah, that was fun. I'm just not cut out for that work. You know what I mean? I'm not strong enough. I've not got the patience. I'm just not good at it. But it was fine for the time I'd done it. But I could never do it. I admire people who are able to do this 24/7. And I actually said that to Graham, my cousin. I was like, "How do you do this every day?" Like I was holding up like things that you're going to put in the ceiling, and it was heavy. It was like big boards. There's like
of course it is.
And I'm like trying to hold it up like I'm like the world's strongest man, not like Mark Henry, but just like myself. And I'm holding it up, and I'm demonstrating now, and still my shoulders are sore for holding them up so much. And I was like, "How do you do this every day and not get sore?" And he's like, "I just live in pain. I just do this. I'm used to it." And of course he's used to it, but still, I mean, it's hard work. So that was just a fun wee day out. And it's just funny because it's like actual work, but because it's the most I've done socially in months, it was like I felt as if I was out doing something fun, where I was just renovating an outhouse, changing it into a yoga studio for someone. But the person was lovely. She made us coffee and stuff. It was nice.
I helped. I say helped very loosely here. Build a house in Lithuania once, and and much like you, I very quickly realised how uncut out for that work I was, and there was already a language barrier being in Lithuania, and it got to the point where I was so hopeless, but by my own natural lack of coordination and my own inability to speak the native tongue, that they just gave me a job where I was like putting stuff in a wheelbarrow, moving it from one place to another.
I was given that job a couple of years ago. Yeah,
there you go. So there's a picture of me looking really chuffed with myself in Eastern Europe, with a wheelbarrow full of rubble. It's probably me trying to be as masculine as I can, and I never will be. And that's the only time I've come close to construction. But I can barely build a TV trolley that comes from IKEA. So there's no hope for me, and I'd be surprised if there was for you.
There's a picture. I've just sent you a picture of it working. I'm not out for it whatsoever. So yeah.
I mean, you look like you could know what you're doing. I mean, I'll try and send you the one of me building a house, but it's
I mean, I was manky. I was manky at the end of it.
Ugh. Well, I'm glad. I mean, you could sing that song to build a home. You know the one?
No, maybe I do.
No, it's a nice song. But anyway, I'm glad. See it as a metaphor. You're building somebody's future and dreams.
Like
that's
that,
that's the satisfaction of the whole.
I'm an actor, right? I get everybody else to do things for me. I show up to the theatre and the set's already built and the stuff's already there laid out for me. I just need to be there and say my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not good at building stuff. So but it was fun. It was good fun. It was a nice day with Graham and stuff. We hadn't hung out in a while, obviously, for obvious reasons. So it was nice. Shall we talk about some wrestling on the Wrestling Connection?
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah, I'm just sending you a picture of me building a house in Eastern Europe.
Oh, there you are. There you are. God, why be in Lithuania building a house?
That's a long story, and to quote Maz Katana, a good story for another time.
Okay. Okay. Should we do Random Wrestler?
Yeah, let's do that. Drop the cage.
Okay. We're running out of names, by the way, so I'm going to write a few more, which is fun. Okay, and this is a good one. Coming out of the box today, very slowly indeed, is the one and only Punjabi playboy, the great Khali.
I was at the Braehead Arena in April 2008 for a SmackDown ECW show. And it was just before Backlash 2008 where Big Show wrestled Khali.
Power for that match.
Yeah, and that was so Teddy Long comes out in the beginning and announced that Big Show would in fact face Khali tonight. Sadly, they did not face each other in a tag team match, but they faced each other that night. And Robert and I were maybe like 10 rows back, but so close enough. Sorry, I'm mucking about with my microphone stand here. Let's be professional, Glenn. I was really quite taken by the size of him, and I've seen him live a few times, and then of course I think were you there? Nah, I think it was one of the two November 13 shows. You and I were at different ones, which had Punk and Bryan versus the Wyatt. The one that I was at. I was at the second one, which had Cena and Del Rio as well, but Drew McIntyre beat Khali at that point, and that was not a good point in McIntyre's career. It was the tail end of 3MB. It was just before it got released. Yeah. And it was November 13. So that was fun. That was like a 5-minute match where McIntyre slammed him, I think, for the victory. Here's the thing. First time I ever came across Khali was when I was on my first ever date at the age of 14. And
yes,
we went to see the Longest Yard.
Go back into the archives to hear the story of Glenn's first date seeing The Longest Yard. That was a good one.
It's not in episode 43. It's further back than that. But I didn't register anything about him. I just thought he was a big scary guy, and I didn't even remember that was him when he showed up to pummel the Undertaker in SmackDown in 06. And listen, he was always garbage in the ring, but he had some fun moments, and you'd never really take him seriously. He's probably one of my least favorite world champions ever,
right?
But I think he did serve a purpose, and I just my lasting thing for Khali was just how hilarious it was when he recently, and I say recently, I mean 4 years ago now, helped Jinder Mahal win the Punjabi prison match, and he held the belt for himself. So that was brilliant.
Probably upside down. The Longest Yard. I love that scene where he's playing ping pong with him and stuff, and he's like, "We're playing against the guards," and Khali just goes, "I'll play." So every time I've not played football in a long time, but about a year ago was the last time I played football. But we've got a group chat when we play football, and you have to say if you're playing this week, and I would always go, "I'll play," and everything. Khali, again, not very many fond memories of him. He debuted in 06, so I was like peak age for hating heels and loving the Undertaker and John Cena and stuff. So the fact that Khali was wrestling them, but he did seem unbeatable. He did portray him very well, even though he couldn't even fucking walk at one point. He won the world title, which I couldn't believe. Kane slammed him at WrestleMania 23. It's supposed to be Hogan Andre, which didn't make much sense because it's Kane and Khali. But do you remember how sought after the figure was of him when it first came out?
Yeah, I think because understandably they had to use totally unique and new molds to make that figure.
Yeah.
Whereas, for the majority of the men's roster and for the women's roster, they could just depend on the same 2 or 3 molds. And it did mean that wrestlers like Austin, who were always muscular and lean, but they weren't jacked like a bodybuilder. But they would have these ridiculous abs and pecs and stuff,
Yeah.
And
Six packs and stuff.
and so there was just the odd wrestler like Rikishi, or Khali, who would get their own kind of molds made. Did you ever have a Khali figure?
Yeah, I did. I remember getting it quite soon when it came out because I remember it was like a big deal and I was like counting down the days for it and stuff. And it's weird thinking about that now because I really didn't like him,
Yeah.
Did something just go off?
Not in my house.
Did your phone just beep or something? I'm hearing things.
Yep.
But yeah, so I wasn't even a big fan of him, but like I remember like really making sure I got that figure. And it's funny, it's just come back to me. We bought the figure, the Khali figure, as a present for someone, right, for their birthday.
Mhm.
It was like a family friend's son, but I believe like our families may have had like an argument or a falling out or something around that time. But because maybe it was just like a temporary argument or whatever, turned out to be a pretty big one. We've not spoken to them since, but at the time it might have just been a temporary one. But so we still got the son a present for their birthday, right? And we bought them the Great Khali figure. And I remember like sitting in my room that I'm sitting in now, this kind of office space, and I was watching something on TV, and I just saw one. So I saw someone show up to the window, right? And I was like, oh my God, there's a burglar. And I opened the blinds, and it was the person's mum putting the Khali figure back at her doorstep. Like, we don't want this. You can keep this. And I was like, we just bought you the Great Khali. You know how hard it is to get that figure? And she's not accepting the gift for her son because we had a falling out. Petty. It was petty. We've not spoken to them since. Anyway.
It's the Curse of Khali.
The Curse of the Khali figure. That's the title of the episode. Yeah, so, not a big fan of Khali, but always, fond of memories, nostalgia, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked his first theme better than the second one, though,
Yeah.
The whole dancing thing I didn't understand. Right, you want to give us a match recommendation for us all to watch this week, my friend?
I am going to do that, Chris, but you know what I'm going to do first, don't you?
Well, you've got about 3 different things of juice there, so I'm assuming you're going to need to get a toilet break.
Yeah, so dear listener, I came into this podcast with a glass of water, a coffee, a peppermint tea, and the previously aforementioned non-alcoholic beer, which I'm still on. The other drinks are empty, and it's just the non-alcoholic beer that I'm drinking now. So yes, it is time for Chris to cue up a jingle, which I don't think we've heard in a while. If I'm
Not a while. I've been impressed, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been holding on literally for 4 weeks now, so I really do need. So,
This could be a long one.
This could be a long one. So, cue the jingle, folks, and or Chris rather. The people listening won't cue it. And when I come back, if I haven't choked on my own saliva, as I'm doing now, we'll do a recommendation. It's a good one.
Okay. Let's go.
Toilet break.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. So, have you queued the jingle for match of the week, Chris?
No, I have not, but I can do it right now if you really want me to.
I'm not telling you diddly squat until you cue that jingle.
Okay, I'll play it now. Then.
Wrestling recommendations. Wrestling recommendations. Wrestling recommendations. Match of the week.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, match of the week, Chris, is I think this will be my first or second time referring to this particular show for match of the week. And it's one of my favourite programmes right now to watch every single week, and I look forward to every week, and that is a match from NXT UK. Now, I've forgot my ukulele here, I've just found it, so
That's good. That's like a live jingle.
It's time for the wrestling connection. It's time. Oh, I don't know my other chord. It's time for wrestling time. I'm gonna have to work on this.
That reminds me of
Time. What?
You ever seen Nacho Libre?
No, I've not.
Oh, what? Oh, how can you be a wrestling fan and not watch Nacho
know.
Libre? He makes up a song that he's written for one of the nuns, and it's Jack Black, and Jack Black's like singing in his movies.
Yeah.
And it's that. Oh, in fact, you know what it also reminds me of? He's like singing at a party and he's pretending to be a singer, and people are like, "You have to sing the song now," and he's just making it up as he goes along, and he's playing like a very similar tune as you were playing on the uke there, and he's like, "I am singing. It's my turn to sing at the party."
It's time for the wrestling connection. It's time for a little mutual affection. It's time for a pile driver. If I don't sing the song, I'll give you a fiver.
Oh, God.
You're right.
I forgot about the joke of the week. Here we go.
I thought it was match of the week.
Yeah, we'll do joke first. Hang on a minute.
All right, cue that jingle then.
It's not a jingle, it's just Doink Steam. Which one have I not said yet? Okay. Okay, this week's joke of the week. Who's that guy who's always lying down in the ring? Matt. Tune in next week for another joke of the week. Right, well, for God's sake, what's your match of the week?
Oh, that's a good chord. Well, my
Good
match of the week is on NXT, and it's from the UK show. Okay, I'm going to stop that now.
All podcasts get live musical performances in the middle of the show, so there you go.
The match of the week you must seek. I'm going to work on this, Chris.
Okay.
Next week, we're having The Wrestling Connection, the musical. All right? I'm going to write the entire episode.
Okay.
And if it's not episode 45, it'll be episode 46. But you know what, guys? Go back to episode 43 because it was much better than this. I'm joking.
We should do that. We should both write a song for next week.
Right, okay. It's happening. You know I'm married to a musician and a songwriter.
It's so unfair. It's so
But
unfair.
what does your sister do any sort of music?
Absolutely not. She's got the least amount of rhythm you'll ever see on anybody.
What about your mammy?
My no, even worse. My lady friend though, she's a good singer. She sings and dances.
Right. Okay. The challenge is going right, Chris. I challenge you to a music off. Whoever can write the best song for next week's podcast, and it has to be about wrestling.
Right.
And what's the prize for the best one?
I don't know.
We'll put out a Twitter poll or something for people to vote.
I'm just going to put this out there. I'm going to full a cappella though because I don't know how to play an instrument.
Listen. You do you, Babaloo. You're not going to get prizes on instrumental orchestration as much as I'm going to use that.
Okay, I must say though, you've got experience though because obviously that what you just did there, that was beautiful. I mean, moving, but it's not as good as the intro to this show. And I must say, every time I play it and I listen to it back, it does always make me smile. So that's a good thing.
Now, what's the chorus of that again? It
goes.
Yeah. Come on, everybody, it's time to listen in. No, come on, everybody, it's time to listen in to an actor and a teacher. I can't remember it now. But, right, okay. Next week, folks, Wrestling Connection, the musical, is happening. So if you were thoroughly disappointed by that awful joke that just left Chris's mouth, then the beautiful music for next week's episode, forget episode 45, it'll be episode 40 live.
Very good.
Match of the week.
Sorry. Hold on, one more thing. I've told you about this before. I used to listen to a radio show hosted by Red Lightning and Chris Renfrew and Billy Cutler and that. It was called The One Wrestling Show. They did a 24-hour show one time for charity, where they were in the radio station for 24 hours straight talking about wrestling. It was great. It was actually the day WWE were at the Braehead Arena one year. So when we came out of the show, we went straight to the radio station and they had someone come in who was at the show and reviewed the show and stuff. It was great. But on that show, Chris Renfrew wrote lyrics to Bret Hart's theme song. And so Bret would be like dun 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 and dun 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 and dun. Renfrew was going, here comes Bret Hart. He wears pink shades. He's for Canada, and he is a heavy good wrestler. So I'm
you can't argue with any of that. You cannot argue with any of those points. This match, I was on NXT UK. This match, it was on NXT UK. The novelty has worn off of the uke. So
Should be preview next week.
NXT UK from about 2 weeks ago. Do you know what, Chris? Right, I'll tell you this. I have got on my phone a list that I am building up of my matches of 2021. And my plan is that in December, we're going to look at our individual lists, rewatch them, and order them. And we'll do an episode in
Right.
December,
Yep.
like where that happens. So I've already got 3 matches on it, and I might just be adding the most recent main event from Dynamite onto that because it was really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't decided that. But I've got 3 matches on there so far. One from Impact, one from WWE main roster, and one from NXT UK. So I want everybody. I've told you about this one, Chris, already. I want everyone to go onto the network. First of all, just start watching NXT UK because it's really good. And second of all, go to the January 28th episode, January 28th, 2021, right? The main event of that show was a fatal 4-way tag team elimination number 1 contenders match. And I can't name all the teams that are in the match because I can't remember them, but it's a bloody good match. And it's just a testament to the fact that these people on that roster are aware that they're not on the most widely watched show on WWE, and they are aware that they're up against the obstacle of no fans. But the production of the show is so good. The commentary is excellent. Excuse me, and the in-ring product of this was fantastic. It was, you just wish if that match was on in front of an audience, like it would be electric, probably would have been even better. But they've got good pipe noise in NXT UK, kind of like the same way that Impact has it, the kind of more tempered piped noise, and they have their own little Thunderdome thing going on too. There is in the BT studios, and also throughout the match, Gallus are kind of watching it because they're the tag champs. So Wolfie and the Coffees are just like having a laugh the whole time watching it, and so their actions are quite funny.
I'm not enjoying Joe Coffey always showing up wearing like Celtic tops and stuff. I'm not enjoying that at all.
Yeah, but you're a Rangers listeners. Dear listener, I don't watch football. I don't understand football. I have no issue with football, and I don't have anything against people who like football, but I don't get it. So I don't care what football team Joe. I know that I particularly care what football team Chris likes. He's a Rangers fan.
I'm only joking. My best pal was a big Celtic fan. It's just one of those ones where he
says that, but he's not. He's not been serious there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go and check it out, folks. And if along the way you discover that you actually quite like the presentation of NXT UK, stick with it. Give it a chance. There's some great talent on that roster. Highlights include your tag champions, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. Also, longest current reigning champion in all of WWE, women's champion Kaylee Ray, ICW alumni, excellent wrestler, seen her wrestle in all sorts of venues 1,000 times over the years, and it's so glad that she's finally signed and doing great things. And do you know what? I'm not taking anything away from the NXT Women's Champion or the SmackDown Women's Champion or the Raw's Women's Champion or even the AEW Women's Champion or the Knockouts Champion. I'm just saying, the person who's held onto the belt the longest is Kaylee Ray. Now, I know NXT UK was off the air for a significant amount of time, but still, she is the gold standard. And if I'm Bianca Belair, I would be thinking, well, who do I really want to prove myself against? So just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it has to happen at WrestleMania, but and also this is unrelated. But how mental is this, Chris? You'll know this, right? At time of recording, the most recent episode of Dynamite involved a finish where. So, oh God, flipping Kenta. That's my second swear of the day.
Oh, Pop
Kenta runs in and, takes down his arch nemesis from New Japan, Jon Moxley. And so think about this. On that episode of Dynamite, you had Jon Moxley, who made his career and became an international superstar in the WWE as Dean Ambrose. So you have Jon Moxley fighting in AEW, facing off against Impact wrestlers on a show which also featured the NWA Women's Champion, whilst getting beaten up by somebody from New Japan.
I mean, it's nuts, isn't it? It's crazy. I mean, it's just the idea of it being possible, because there's been this stigma for years just because of the way the Monday Night Wars were, where everybody has to be wanting to put each other out of business. You know what I mean? And it's. I mean, I'm not saying WWE want to put AEW out of business, but I'm sure that kind of like same kind of business plan is there, that we are the one in town and the one everybody should be watching. We don't want anybody else getting better and stuff. I don't think it's a malicious thing anymore, but I do think it's
Yeah.
still there. It's just the body work of the company, and I think it will be like that
Absolutely.
until Vince McMahon steps down. But just, I mean, Impact's not the biggest show in the world, and NWA is certainly not the biggest show in the world. And New Japan is massive over in Japan, of course, but it's nowhere near as big as AEW or WWE in this kind of side of the world. But
Mhm.
still, it's like getting all these wee highlights in the show. I just think it's incredible, and I'm someone that's been following New Japan, and I know that Moxley's still got that US title, and Kenta's got the briefcase that says I'm next in line to face the US champion and stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, obviously, we can't travel because of the way it is, but let's figure out a way to do it. And the fact, I loved how, like, I was waiting for something to happen on Dynamite because I knew it wasn't just going to end there. I
Yeah.
just expected maybe Kenny to attack Moxley, setting up the pay-per-view match or something, and then someone comes out wearing the mask, and I was like, oh, well, maybe it's like someone returning or something, but I just did not expect Kenta.
No,
Who I'm not the biggest fan of either. I don't particularly rate him as highly as others. There's other people in New Japan that I want to see wrestle Moxley and Omega and Pac and
Yeah.
people in AEW. Like, imagine that, like Okada and Pac and all these people in New
Absolutely.
Japan. It's going to be crazy. However, just the idea of it being there and possible with Kenta and Moxley, massive match, and props to Tony Khan for letting the New Japan storyline
Yeah.
play out on his show.
And I think this is what, as much as Tony Khan is relatively new to promoting wrestling, I think what he does bring, what he makes up for in terms of inexperience is that he understands that when cross promotion is done right, everybody wins, and like Impact has definitely benefited from the cross promotion between AEW and Impact. There's no doubt. Like the fact that they were able to get Kenny Omega on Hard to Kill, and they're going back and forth. You've got Matt Hardy's tag team, what are they called again? Private Party on Impact quite regularly with Matt Hardy again. So there's been a benefit there. And then with this New Japan thing is only going to add intrigue. And I've never sat down and watched a New Japan show. And that's not because I have anything against it. It's just, we have so much wrestling stuff. So it's never been high up on my list. But this intrigued me and caught my attention. I'm now more likely to want to watch the Kenta Moxley match whenever it happens, presumably in an NJPW ring. But the other thing is that, competition, when it's healthy, brings out the best in the business. And we know this. I'm so delighted and intrigued by the fact that on the March 3rd Dynamite, Shaquille O'Neal will be getting in the ring in a tag match to take on Cody and What's-Her-Face. And the thing is, though, as much as I'm excited to see the match, when they've put a date on it on this most recent episode of Dynamite, the first thing I thought of was, well, I can't wait to see what they do with NXT then. Because they're not going to ignore that. They're going to do something special. Are they going to get Edge to wrestle in NXT? Are they going to do Edge and Balor that night? Because
God, yeah, they
might give us that. There's no way that they're going to cower away. Like WWE would only allow that to happen if it was something like the Brody Lee Memorial. They're not going to try and outdo that. They're just going to do their usual show and like not touch or step on their toes of what they're doing. But for something like this, think back to 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when TNA went to Monday nights and they were going to have Hulk Hogan debuting. So what did Monday Night Raw pull out the bag? Even though they knew that no matter what, more people were still going to watch Raw, but they still didn't take a chance, and they brought back Bret Hart that night for the first time in 12 years. So
I love that AEW will do the Shaquille O'Neal match because it's like it's a WWE match, though it's a celebrity, But AEW aren't going to. AEW are the wrestling company, but they're still not going to shy away from that. It should be an entertainment show. It should be everything, And I love how it's not on the pay-per-view. Like we don't care. We are getting a massive rating for this, please.
And if you want to be a globally successful wrestling organization, you have to be a variety show. That's what WWE has always done better than everybody else, is variety. WrestleMania every year is an example of that. There is something for everybody. And so I'm kind of glad when shows that are more defined by one particular style branch out a little bit. Now, some people have been critical, you and I included, of NXT in the last couple of years, especially since the USA deal. But I do like the fact that NXT at least attempts a bit more variety, and I am enjoying it more now, I have to say. I'm enjoying the Dusty Classic stuff. I'm enjoying Balor on top, and I love Dexter Lumis. I want him to read me bedtime stories. But I don't know where I was going with that point, if I'm honest, Chris. But I just,
so is it Finn Balor and Pete Dunne for the title at the next takeover?
So then, that's Vengeance Night or Vengeance Day.
It's going to be awesome match, by the way. I love those two of my favorites in the whole world.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Really, truly am, because they're both excellent in the ring. And to my point earlier about Edge, if I'm Triple H and I'm aware of the fact that they're putting Shaq, like AEW is going to get the bigger rating that night because of that match, but they should still try their best to take a big dent out of it. So if I'm Triple H, I'm thinking I would be putting Edge and Balor in the match. I mean, that's assuming Balor beats Dunn. I think he will, but he might not. So there you go. That's what I would recommend, or something big, or they might get Triple H to wrestle, or they might do something again with Pat McAfee. They're going to do something really, I don't know this, but they should. They should do something that really rivals Shaq. So like WWE's programming are all going, oh my god, NXT is unmissable this week. We're going to have Roman Reigns versus Triple H on NXT or something. They need to do something big.
Yeah, great point. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be.
Well, Chris, my friend, we've come to the end. It's time for the end of the Wrestling Connection. Oh, well, Chris, my friend, now it's time to stop. I can't think of anything else that rhymes, except that Billy Gunn's real name is Kip Sop.
Okay. Yes, I feel like it's the end of a kid's show, where they would start singing with a ukulele or a guitar or something,
Yeah.
Please follow us on social media, everybody. Twitter is at WrestleConnect1 for the time being. And Instagram is at WrestleConnection. And also please subscribe to us on YouTube. All info will be in the info boxes here on your podcasting apps. And until next time, folks, take care of yourselves. Glenn, please play us out.
Well, Chris, my friend, we have reached the end of 44 episodes of the Wrestling Connection. Well, Chris, my friend, it is time to stop. What is Billy Gunn's real name is Kip Sop. Good night, everyone.